Welcome to Dare a New Belief, a place to discover what is possible for your life after the loss of a loved one, and where you will find inspiration, insight, support, and love, and hopefully a bit of laughter to help you through the day. Now here's your host, Andrea Hogan.
Welcome to Dare a New Belief, where you will find light and life, love and joy, healing, faith, and hope. A place where you get to believe in what is possible for your life. I am your host, Andrea Hogan, and today I have the great honor and privilege to be with a dear soul, Andrea Nardozza. And I know that you are going to love her as much as I do. So Andrea, if you could do me a favor, and if you could give just a brief introduction of you and what it is that you do, and then we're going to start this great conversation on how you got to where you are right now.
Well, thank you so much, Nada. You are such a bright soul in my life, and I'm so grateful to be with you today. I am a coach. I started this about 2.5 years ago, and I do a lot of relationship work. I help people with better communication and how to communicate and relate to one another in positive ways so that they can have better relationships with each other and better relationships with themselves, because that's the most important relationship there is. So that's where I'm at this point.
Awesome. So Andrea, you are a life mastery consultant and also a dream builder coach, correct?
Yes.
Yes. And you got into that 2.5 years ago. And that's where I met you, was through the life mastery consulting and dream builder coaching.
Sure.
And so I love that we are absolutely like-minded, coming from the same mindset. And it's interesting because you came into coaching after you suffered a tremendous loss when your husband passed away. Would you be willing to share with us a little bit that journey of what happened with your husband, Giovanni?
Well, sure. My husband and I, we were actually only married for 385 days. Together for 6 years, but he had contracted cancer, and it was cancer of the tongue, which was very interesting to me because he was a vocal coach. And it's my opinion that we put our pain where it will hurt us the most. And it just, he didn't smoke, he didn't drink, he didn't have any of the reasons why people get that kind of a cancer. None of them applied to him. So, it was quite a journey. And, he was absolute love of my life.
Yeah.
And when I lost him, it was the most devastating thing that I could have imagined. And I'll add to that a little bit later, but I literally had to learn to breathe again.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a time when I was laying on my bed and I had the most intense feeling of wanting to be with him and hold him and touch him and talk to him. And it was the most overwhelming feeling I had ever felt. And as quickly as it came, and it lasted for about maybe 10 or 15 minutes of this intense wanting. And then came this sudden wave of peace. And the next morning, I woke up and said, well, I'm still breathing. God still wants me here for some reason.
Right.
And
wow.
That's when I started to live again. I have always been the person that could see the best in other people and see their true potential. I've been coaching pretty much since I've been 9 years old.
Yeah.
My dad, was a smoker, and I was able to help him stop smoking at age 9,
Wow.
my first boyfriend, didn't have any intention to go to college, just didn't think enough of himself. I saw his potential and I urged him to go to college and become, something. And, to this day, I still see his dad every once in a while. And he's like, thank God for you, because you were the reason that he became the person that he is today.
Mm.
So, after my husband died, we owned a music store together, which was his dream. And I'm not a musician, but I certainly was there to support him in his dream. And I used to coach people over the counter, while their kids were taking lessons. I was helping people
Wow.
with whatever issue they had. So I was out one night with a friend. He was having trouble with a woman or whatever. And I helped him see things a little differently. And he said, you should really do this for a living. And I went home and I slept on that. And the next morning I woke up, I was standing next to my bed, and Nada, it was the craziest thing. I heard the words, "You need to get in front of Mary Morrissey."
Oh, wow.
And I hadn't had that much contact with Mary at that point. I was watching Bob Proctor and Wayne Dyer and all these people, very little contact with Mary. So I really took notice that I heard those words, because, like I said, it wasn't a name that was in the forefront of my mind.
Right.
I took action right away. I contacted Mary's organization, and I got a phone call the next morning. And, all they had to do was say, do you want to do it? And I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah.
I wanted to give structure to what I was already doing.
Right. Right.
Here we are.
Yeah. Yep. I love it. So, Andrea, you heard this voice that said you need to get in front of Mary Morrissey, and you made that phone call. You got the call back, and the rest is history. You went through the training. You became a Dream Builder coach. You became a life mastery consultant. And the question I want to ask you is, actually, I have a few questions for you. But this question is, how long after Giovanni passed away did you hear that message, you need to get in front of Mary Morrissey? About
6 or 8 months.
Okay. It wasn't that long after he passed away. And I want to circle back to, I love this name, Giovanni. I just love that name. And I want to circle back to, because you said something that's so interesting. I didn't catch the exact phrase that you said it, but that the pain or the disease will show up where it hurts you the most. Because he was did you say a vocal coach?
Vocal coach, yes. And he had cancer of the tongue.
So why do you think, what is your thinking behind that?
Well, he was in this, cancer is an emotional disease, right?
Right.
And he was so guilty and punishing himself for he was divorced previously, and he was estranged from his children. He had a very, very difficult relationship with his mother. I feel like he blamed himself for all of that.
Wow.
And tremendous guilt. And, when we hold those emotions, they make us sick.
Absolutely.
So, and like I said, there was no outside reason for him to have that particular kind of cancer. So isn't it very strange that, a man that loved to eat and loved to sing, that was his profession.
Right.
And he had cancer of the tongue.
Right.
To me, that's not coincidence.
Right. So, Andrea, knowing that, because you already were doing coaching, you just didn't have the structure and the title behind your name. You had been coaching since you were 9 years old.
Yeah.
And I would assume then that you were also coaching with Giovanni when all of this was happening. And was he open to the type, because I think that the things that we coach on and the way that we view life is very different than how the majority of the world views life. If people were to hear that cancer is going to hit you where it's going to hurt you the most. And I think some people would say, what? That doesn't make any sense. Cancer is just going to affect any part of the body. And it doesn't happen like that. And I am 100% in agreement with you. I do believe that cancer, it will talk to you in the place, or any disease. It's going to talk to you in the place where it's going to get your attention.
Right.
So was Giovanni, was he open to hearing that, or open to understanding that carrying this guilt and carrying the pain and letting people down, all of that, like shame emotions, low vibration emotions, was he open to that or no?
Well, what happened was we went to an allopathic doctor originally, and he scared my husband so badly that I think, he was closed to healing at all.
Oh man.
He did not want to be cut in any way. And so I took him to Mexico for alternative treatment, and they said that he could heal. We talked to tons of people that have healed from stage 4 cancers.
Yeah.
I took him to people that I even took him to John of God.
Wow, you did? You took him to John of God?
Well, we didn't go to Brazil, but John of God did do distance healing for him.
Wow. We have to have a whole conversation just on that. So you're coming back, right? So we can just talk just about that. That's wild.
I pretty much stood on my head and spit wooden nickels. But, there's a personal journey for everyone, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And his journey was one person down at the clinic. She was just an angel on earth. And she said to me, Andrea, sometimes we don't heal in this lifetime. Sometimes we need to do it on the other side.
Wow.
And could just see that he didn't believe all the people that said he could heal.
Yeah.
And, I talked to some other people who are alive today that were at that clinic with stage 4 cancers. And their outlook was completely different. And the way they thought about the cancer was completely different. And the way they thought about the treatments was in a healing way. They were grateful for those treatments. Whereas my husband was just in fear and doubt constantly. And it didn't matter what we did. It has to come from the person that wants to heal.
Right. Do you think that the fear and doubt about really being able for Giovanni to be able to heal himself, do you think that was just, how sometimes we just have such a deep-seated belief about something, and that's just how it is. I just, either the doctors are going to cure me, or I just know in my head if I got cancer, that's just the end of the road for me. Do you think it was just so deep-seated in him?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. How hard was that for you? Because I would imagine there has to be a part of you, because you think so completely opposite of that, and you want so much for him to embrace life and embrace this possibility of you can beat this. So many other people have beat this and you can too. So how was that for you to go through that? Because I would imagine there has to be a place, and I know you said the woman had said to you that sometimes we don't heal in this lifetime. We have to do it on the other side. But I would think as a wife and being madly in love with this man that we hang on so tightly, yet at the same time, you have to be able to let go. And God, what a hard position to be in, Andrea.
It was certainly not any fun.
Oh, man.
A lot of frustration. But,
wow.
If there was one thing that I did learn through all of that, was that we all have our own journey, and to accept that. I absolutely could not accept him dying. Even when he took his last breath, I waited for a good long time for him to just all of a sudden pop back up and say, okay, I'm ready to heal. It was a really hard thing for me to accept, especially seeing so many people being healed. It was really difficult. And it's been a journey for me to forgive myself for not accepting his journey.
Oh,
You know, I feel like maybe if I had it all to do over again, I would have not pushed him so hard to get well and maybe just honored the journey in his dying.
yeah. Wow.
But that's not the way it was. So
Right.
it's a hard thing, you know, when you
Yeah.
love somebody so much, all you want is for them to be well. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
it's been quite a journey for me, accepting everything and weaving it into my life going forward.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I would imagine going through this and all of the self-discovery, just being able to realize that as I look back on it now and knowing that this is your journey, to be able to forgive yourself and allow that part of you that hung on and pushed and wanted it so badly, and at the same time to allow that to heal inside of you, because it was his journey. But I so get that, because it is your journey, but I'm your wife and I'm with you and I don't want you to go anywhere. And man, the struggle, the internal struggle that must go on with that, I just can't imagine what that would be like. And how you have come out on the other side of it, because I didn't know you then when you were with Giovanni. I knew you afterwards when you became a
Right.
coach, and I never would have guessed, because you are solid. You have a heart of gold. You are the most giving person. You are always cheerful and willing to jump in and help and offer support and offer words of wisdom. I would never have guessed you ever went through anything like this. There is no remnants that the world can see anyways. And it's interesting to me too, because you're coaching, if I'm not wrong, you kind of specialize in relationships now. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about that? And have you been in the process, or have you witnessed just the way you coach and the things that you teach? Have you been able to be like the product of saving a marriage? Has that happened?
That has twice now.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I've taken on, initially the men have come to me,
Okay.
and then through the process their wives end up coming to me as well. But it never started as a couple therapy. The ones that start as couple therapies
Oh.
don't ever finish. But when one person or
Oh.
the other comes, it seems to be so much better. And I get them to just become a person of increase, right? And to see good in their
Yeah.
partner. Just
Yeah.
look at the good for now. We'll worry about all the stuff that doesn't work later. Just find the good
Right.
in your partner. Think about the things that you don't like differently, and we work on those things individually and how they can see them different. And can you love that person
Yeah.
for all their faults, all their warts, and all the goodness that they bring? Can you love that whole
Yeah.
person? And the answer so far has always been yes.
Yeah. Wow. You know what I find fascinating is that you went through this I'm going to call it a tragedy with Giovanni in your relationship, and it's the men that come to you first. I just find that so interesting that the men come to you first.
I agree with you. And I don't have it quite figured out, but it is very interesting. Yes.
I think it's just the way the universe works. I think there's just, right, there's just something there. And then it always makes me wonder too, is so when we go through that thing that's so painful and hurts so much, and we hold on so tightly, and it turns out a way that we don't want it to turn out, and the gift and the beauty, the blessing in that is that now I am able to help and share in hundreds and thousands of people's lives. And it comes from that male energy to start with, and then the female comes in. And I just find that fascinating. It's just such a full circle, it feels like to me, that I think that's just a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. And I thank my husband every day
Yeah.
for allowing this life to be. You know,
Yeah.
Mary Marcy says all the time, the content of our life is the curriculum for our evolution.
Right.
I know that to be true.
Yeah.
Because I've always said, it doesn't matter what happens in your life. It matters what you do with it.
Absolutely.
And I remember, having a discussion with my dad. We were in the car driving around, and I said, I could decide to become crazy cat lady and a recluse, or I could decide to have a full life. I had those cognitive thoughts, even in the deepest of grief.
Yeah.
But there was another thing that happened to me. I hope this doesn't touch something too deep in you. It was not long. It was about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years after my husband died. And I thought that was the worst pain that I could possibly feel. And God does work in strange ways, because he made it very clear to me that wasn't the greatest pain I could feel. There was 4 minutes in my life where I thought my own son had died.
Oh.
And it was the greatest gift that I could have had, because I realized that there was a much greater pain than losing my husband.
Yeah.
Luckily, by the grace of God, it wasn't my son.
Okay.
So, but I did have that glimpse, like, there's worse stuff out there.
Yeah.
Actually helped me to heal a little bit more.
Yeah. We heal in ways that we just can't expect. I just don't think that healing is a straight road. I think it's a windy path with loop-de-loops and roller coasters and ups and downs and waves and every emotion imaginable. So what happened for those 4 minutes, Andrea? Was it somebody else, a younger person who was killed, and somehow you thought that was your son? Is that what happened?
Yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, it was his best friend.
Okay.
Who also had the same name. And it was just this very surreal experience that I thought it was my son.
Right. Wow.
And and then there's the guilt of that relief, I and the blessing, right? That I had the relief of knowing that my son was alive, but then there was, his best friend who was I loved him too.
Yeah.
He was gone. So grief has just really been a large part of my life. And, 1 year before my husband died, my best friend died. So, it's been quite a road.
Yeah. So what do you think? So after losing your best friend, and then you lost your husband, and then you had this moment of thinking that you had lost your son, because sometimes I think it's hard to be able to say what the steps are. It's such a process, such an internal process, that sometimes it's hard to be able to say, well, I did this and then I did that. But is there anything that you could share with the listeners that for sure that this absolutely was part of my healing? Like, I know for me, one of the things that there was just a voice in my head that would just say, I had many different voices, but one of them was, if I could just take one step today, if I can just get out of bed today, then I will have done something to honor Dara. And was there something like that? Was there something that you had that every day just helped to give you the strength behind you to take that step and to feel the world underneath your feet to support you? Did you have something?
There's a few things, but I had the gift of time before my husband died.
Yeah.
I never believed he was going to die, but I did very often think about, and I remember, it was so hard going through the dying process. Sometimes I thought I was going to lose my mind. And I was talking to a very good friend of mine now and saying, just remind me that I'm going to be okay. When this is all over. So, I have this inner strength that I depend on to always be okay no matter what. Yeah. But, there was that voice that said, you're still breathing.
Yeah.
Something to do. And I know to listen to the voices.
Absolutely.
So between that and just allowing myself to feel the feelings and letting all of that wash through me. And whenever it rears its head, I allow it to be.
I think that it is so imperative because sometimes I think we want to get through that process and heal and feel better so quickly. And sometimes I think it's just, we have to feel those feelings as we're going through them. I don't think we get to bypass it because it's going to show up later in our life, and to be able to just be in that space. And you're blessed enough to have people that, whether they understand or don't understand, but can support you in that space and giving you that space to be able to allow you to grieve, and whatever that looks like for each individual person. Because I think it's so different for everybody. It's just a personal inward journey to come out on the other side of that, and not burying that pain, because then it just turns around and shows up as some disease in you after you just got done losing this person that you love. Then you end up with something because you're shoving down these emotions that the body naturally wants to try to process and heal from. I want to circle back for a second. Did you say that to your friend, or did your friend say to you, just remind me that I'm going to be okay? Who said that?
I said that to her.
Oh, I love that.
Remind me.
God, that's beautiful. And how powerful is that? There is such power in that, just hearing that now. And I'm not going through any grieving right now. And it's just, God, those are just diamond words. And they are the most simple words I think I've ever heard. But there is so much power in that. Remind me that I am going to be okay.
Yeah.
God, that's beautiful, Andrea.
Yeah. Because I'll tell you what, when he died, it didn't feel like anything was going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will tell you that there are moments, going to my son's graduation this week, I was having all of these feelings, and a friend of mine that I had just met said, like, all the things that I was citing as the reasons why I wasn't feeling quite right.
Yeah.
Like, that's BS.
Ah.
And I finally, he gave me the space to figure out, I just really miss my husband and I wish he was with me.
Yeah.
You just don't even know when it's going to show up, or how it's going to show up. And it's not always easy to recognize it.
Yeah.
But hopefully you're thinking, you're noticing your feelings, and maybe you have some angels in your life that can help you process them. But grief is not, like you said, it's not linear by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
And to me, it's something that you weave in every day to the cloth of your life.
Yeah.
It's not something you get past. It's not something that you get over. It's something that you integrate into your life and move along with.
Yeah. 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 I remember, because I would hear that sometimes. And I mean, because we would do some things where there were other parents who had like a support group kind of thing. And sometimes parents would say, I just want to get this over with. I want to get past this and just move on. And I thought, God, that never crossed my mind to get over it. I want to find a way to live with it. I want to find a way to walk side by side with this every day. Because for me, just to say get over it always felt, and this is personal because it's a personal journey for everybody, but it always felt to me to say, I just want to get over it means I just want you out of my mind. And I never wanted that. I just wanted it to be where I could think about my daughter and not break down and sob and take days to be able to regain and recover from that. I just wanted to be where I could think of her and a smile would come to my face long before any tears would fill my eyes. And I've reached that. And granted, it's 11 years. I mean, it's been a process. It's been 11 years. And I know for you, Andrea, it's only, is it 5 years? Is that right?
Not quite 5. Yeah.
Not quite. Yeah. So still, right? So like 4.5, right? Or just 4 and a few months. So that's still very new. And God, you're just phenomenal how you are. Oh, yeah. I mean, because just the love and the care and compassion you have for everybody else, while I know you are still healing from this and life is still happening with you, through you, around you. And speaking of life happening through you, it's 4.5 years. Is dating on the horizon? Is that something that you're looking at, that you've been doing? Where do you stand? Where do you stand on that?
Yeah. And that was something that was so important to my husband. He would be watching TV and he'd see these match commercials and he'd say, I want you to find somebody that will love you.
Oh.
And I would just flat out say, just get better. Like I never even thought anything like that because my whole existence was on him.
Yeah.
But I remember him saying that, like, I just want you to find somebody to love you. I don't want you to be alone.
Yeah. Wow.
So that makes it a little bit easier for me. But at the same time, there's that fear, right? That I might love somebody and they'll leave again. Or there's a lot of crazy things that go on. But, I thought I was ready to start dating a while back, and I was very wrong.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that at the time. And you know what? It was the funniest thing, Nita, because I found men that were the neediest men on earth.
Oh no.
But that was my vibration, right? Like I take care of my husband 24/7, 365. So I needed to take care of, I had all this love and no place for it to go.
Right.
So of course, none of those relationships worked out, nor should they have.
Yep.
They were part of my healing, and they weren't really,
Right.
they were not like love relationships. They were more, like I said, of caretaking.
Right.
But, like I did find a man that I did fall in love with, and it was quite a surprise to me.
Yeah.
And it's now just the best of friendship. Will never be my life partner or anything like that. But we have this kind of platonic marriage, right? We take care of each other, but it's not a full relationship, and it's a friendship. It's not a romantic relationship.
Right. Like a platonic relationship, right? A platonic friendship?
Yes.
Yeah. It's fascinating, Andrea. Oh my gosh, right? So the vibration, you're in this vibration, this low vibration, this I'm the caretaker. And that's exactly what gets magnetized to you, is these needy men. And you, even though it's a pain in the neck when you're going through that, but the beauty of that too is, don't you think that was the mirror that showed you and helped you with your own healing?
Oh, no question.
Wow. Wow.
First man that I came across after my husband died had such abandonment issues. And it was, Nada, it was just maybe 2 weeks ago that I realized, oh my goodness, that was a mirror for me. My husband abandoned me. My best friend abandoned me,
Right.
And such healing in that.
Yeah.
Because, as soon as it rises up, that's the moment that you can begin to heal it. But it took me 4.5 years to figure that out.
Oh my gosh. And it's okay, right? Because I think some people go through their whole life and they never get it figured out. So yeah, so 4.5 years and it's so funny how that healing can show up. And that's what I hope all the listeners understand, is that healing shows up in the craziest of ways, in ways you can never understand. And sometimes it shows up as more pain, and we're thinking, what the hell is going on? And why does this keep happening to me? And the whole entire time, it's just a mirror right in front of your face, but we can't see it. And so we get to keep reliving it or having more experiences of that, so we can finally see it. And just like, then the bells go out like, oh my gosh, no kidding. It's because of me and my vibration where I'm at. But in that, we get that healing, and it's just beautiful. God, I love that. I love that. That's just beautiful, Andrea. Wow.
And to recognize that, it takes a lot of inner reflection, right?
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that I would recommend to everyone, is to just take the time to look inside and feel the feelings and honor everything that you feel and honor the love that you had with those people that you've lost.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Beautiful, Andrea. Beautiful. So, sweetheart, as we bring this in for a little bit of a landing, you're going to come back because we have more stuff to talk about. But as we bring this episode in for a landing, can you let us know what you're doing, what you're up to right now, and any events that you have coming up? And if you can let us know how to contact you. And I just want to remind all of the listeners, don't worry about writing down Andrea's information. It will be on the show notes. You will have direct access right to her. But please let us know where you're at and what you got coming up here in the future. You're a beautiful woman and you're a wise soul. And yeah, you're just a beautiful woman.
Well, May 25th, I'm having a relationship workshop. And that could be a relationship with coworkers, family, a significant other. It doesn't matter. It's really all the same. It's just the circumstances around it are a little different. Yeah. So the relationship workshop is going to be May 25th. The big thing is in October, the last weekend in October, the 25th, 26th, and 27th, Howard Caesar and I will be hosting Meditation Weekend, where he'll be teaching, I believe it's 7 different techniques in meditation. And he'll be speaking on his book, 1 + 1 is 1. And I will be teaching on empowerment and self-love. Like I said, that'll be at the Molly Pitcher Inn in New Jersey on October 25th, 26th, and 27th.
Wow, that's awesome. Can you let the audience know, so if there's people who don't know who Howard Caesar is, could you let people know just a little bit about him and what he does?
He is the most magnificent soul. He is a retired minister from the Unity Church in Houston, which is a corporate ministry of over 2,000 people.
Wow.
He has dinner with the Dalai Lama.
Oh, that's all, huh? Just dinner with the Dalai Lama.
He has spent a lot of time with the Dalai Lama. His friends are people like Michael Beckwith and Mary Morrissey and Wayne Dyer when he was alive. So the man is a big deal. But besides any of that, to be in his presence, you just feel the light and the energy, and you know that you are loved, and he makes you feel like you can do anything. Truly, I don't know if you've ever been in the presence of Louise Hay. She was like that as well.
Yeah.
But he is just a magnificent human being.
Wow. That is fabulous. Look at you, girl. How awesome is that?
Yeah, I'm very, very excited to have that.
You're out there rocking the self-empowerment world. I love it, Andrea. That is so cool. And I promise to all the listeners, the information will be on the website. And even the May 25th, even though I know it's just like time is flying, but the May 25th workshop, we'll have that information on the website also if anybody happens to be in the New Jersey area, because I'm assuming that's also in New Jersey, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll have that information on the website. So Andrea, we're going to wrap this one up tonight. And I know that you're going to be back on here with me because this is just entirely too much fun, and fun in the sense that there's always growth and wisdom and life in there. And yeah, and you're just totally cool. And I just love you. So we're going to do this again. Can you let the listeners know the easiest way to contact you? And again, I remind everybody, it will be in the show notes, so no worry about that. But can you tell us how to get in contact with you?
Certainly. My website is inspiredlifemastery.com, and you can reach me there. You can reach me on Facebook, Inspired Life Mastery, and you can reach me on my cell phone at 732-300-8895. And my email is Andrea@inspiredlifemastery.com.
Awesome. Or just contact Howard Caesar and say, hey, how do I get a hold of your co-host? That's fantastic. That's fantastic. All right, Andrea. Well, thank you so very much. I just adore you. I'm blessed to have you in my life. I'm blessed to call you my friend. There's so much of this I knew nothing about, and I have so many more questions for you. So we're going to do this again, and we're going to ask more deep questions and get to know a little bit more about you and the healing process and how you got to where you are and living such a beautiful, wonderful life. And I just want to thank you for taking the time to be here with us.
Well, I am so grateful for you, Nada. You know, the minute we met, we bonded, and you are just so inspiring to me. And I couldn't be more grateful that you thought enough of me to have me here today. So thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. My honor, my privilege. Yes. And I love and adore you. And yep, we definitely had a bond from the first time we saw one another. It was like love at first sight.
Absolutely.
Yes. All right, Andrea. Well, thank you again for being here. And for all of the listeners, thank you so much for being here with us this week. And just a reminder, we will be back next week again. All of Andrea's information will be on the show notes. So until next week, enjoy a beautiful rest of this week. God love you, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for spending time with us today. Please go to nadahogan.com for show notes and other information that you can use right away. If you like what you've heard here, please subscribe to the podcast. And don't forget to rate and review right there on iTunes, Stitcher, or however you get your podcasts. And don't forget to tell your friends about it. We'll see you next week.